Hey guys, welcome back to the pod. Today we are going to be talking about X-Men 97. We're going to be rating the episodes throughout Season 1 and talk about our highs and hopes for X-Men 97 Season 2.
It's cold.
Good for you, man. Alright, so getting started, I'm a huge lover of X-Men 97 because I'm a huge X-Men fan. I actually have a couple issues from certain episodes. Like I have a Life Death Part 2 comic book of the Uncanny X-Men. I have some stuff around the 200s with the Trial of Magneto. It's pretty cool. I know you're not as high on X-Men 97 as I am, but that's okay, because it might get heated, and I like that. As you were saying, it's very cold, so let's make it warmer in here. Pause. Anyway, you want to just start with our ratings per episode of X-Men 97?
Yeah.
Alright. Well, let's go ahead and just give our rating for the full season, and then break down every episode. Do you have an idea in your head?
I'd give it an 8
Out of 10?
out of 10.
Full thing? Okay.
Yeah.
I give it a 9 out of 10. Maybe 9.5 if I'm being biased. But it's really good. Let's break down every single episode, starting off with episode 1, which is where we get to see Master Mold make a return because there's another one that was made in a different factory. We also got to see a little bit of Henry Gyrich, a bit of this new pickup off of the original show that ended in 1997. So we get to see more of what has happened. Jean's pregnant. Scott and Jean talking about leaving the school. We get to see the group. We get to meet Roberto. Some peak animation with Cyclops. Cyclops really acts like a true leader in this show. He's always really been that way with the animated series. Not very well didn't really get a lot of justice in the movies, but that's okay. What would you rate the first episode on a scale of 1 to 10? We can talk a bit more about that in depth afterwards.
Probably a 7.
7? I'm going to give it... I actually thought it was a really good opener. I might give it a 9, actually, now that I think about it. Compared to other episodes, I'm going to give it a 9. Actually, 8.5. Take that back. 8.5.
Cyclops was an ore farmer.
Yeah.
But
he did some cool stuff. The scene where he jumps off the jet and he uses eyes to fall down. That was awesome.
That was awesome. But after that, I don't remember much of the episode.
Really?
Yeah.
That's fine. I'll refresh your memory.
Not very memorable for me.
Some of the highs for me in that episode is getting to see that Vision, for one. I love the mystery feeling this season gives with the horror aspect. That vision that Jean has when she's searching through Henry Gyrich's mind in the prison, and she's getting flashes of the future to come with Genosha, is awesome. It's really good. I thought it gives me shivers and goosebumps every time I watch it. I think the entire fight scene against Master Mold in the end of the episode is awesome. I think the scene where Wolverine jumps on Gambit's back and he ignites his claws and he jumps and snipes the head off, that felt like a true comic panel movement that it was giving, and it was awesome. I think the show is very good with this animation. I think the writing is also just as good. It's also very emotional in the later episodes. But for this episode and the starter, I think it's very well paced for a 40-ish minute episode. I think we got to get a lot done. Everything with Jean and Scott up to the Henry Gyrich's prison, getting to find out about the other Master Molds is all super cool. I think the dynamic between Roberto and Jubilee, since Jubilee from the original show, which I know you don't like her that much at all, she was that new character that got to just get introduced, she just came to the school, so she was kind of that newbie, is kind of how Roberto is. So it's cool how they're able to connect that, which I think is really cool, because I was worried when the show was first coming out a couple years ago that certain characters would feel underused.
Yeah.
We got a good amount, I feel with every character. We got some good special moments.
And they didn't try to overuse Jubilee.
Yeah, of course. Which is great because season 1 Jubilee of the anime series, she was used a lot.
And too much.
Too much. Do you have anything specific about the episode that you didn't like? Because what makes you go down to what'd you say it was? A 7 out of 10? Is what you rated it?
I just don't remember most of the episodes.
So it's just not rememberable for you?
No.
That's interesting. I thought it was a pretty good episode. Good premiere.
Cyclops was cool.
of course, that scene at the beginning when it opens up and there's a Sentinel arm and those people and they're using its like technology and stuff, and he saves Roberto after being captured and he's moving with his laser is awesome. I think that's really cool. Anything you want to add on?
No.
No? Episode 2 of X-Men 97. Do you have a rating in mind? This is the trial of Magneto.
That was pretty good. I'd give it an 8, probably.
I'm a huge Glazer because I actually read the comic of it right before watching it. And I'm rating it a 10 out of 10 because of the absolute beautiful dialogue that Magneto gives. That's kind of how Magneto is.
Yeah,
but it still surprises me every time he gives these beautiful speeches. I'm more of that like pro-Magneto, anti-Charles ways. For me, at least. You might not agree with that. But
I think Magneto's pretty cool.
Yeah. Do you think he's right?
Yeah.
For the most part?
Mm-hmm.
I think that entire episode and the way it sets up from the previous episode with Executioner, and he uses the technology and the whatever the things are called that go around their neck that take away their powers, how he uses that to amplify his gun. So he shoots and he was aiming for Magneto, but the way he created that to take away the mutant's power is the exact reason why I think Magneto's always right, but what makes it so beautiful when he gives his speech. Especially when he's pointing down at Storm after getting shot, and he's like, this is what you guys have always wanted, our kind kneeling before you and stuff. And then he gives his whole speech up in the sky, and then he talks about how he's not like them, and that he wants to have a second chance. And it's really cool. Very poetic. I love Magneto. I love these episodes. I think the animation, of course, is very well. The whole scene at the very beginning with the Ferris wheel and stuff, it was really cool.
Yeah.
Is there anything specific about this episode you really like? Or stuff that brings it down to you to make it an 8 out of 10?
It was a perfect introduction of Executioner. I think he was really cool, even though I know nothing about him. He was pretty cool. Magneto.
Or Farms, as usual.
Yeah, as usual. And it was kind of niche, but Jean and Wolverine are like
that interaction in the
Yeah,
car. I
and
remember when we
taking-
watched that. You loved that entire scene in the car
really
ride.
like that.
It was pretty funny. Wolverine's reaction to everything that was happening. It was
Yeah.
pretty cool.
And it was just kind of ironic that Wolverine was the one to take
To do it, yeah.
to take Jean to the hospital or whatever.
I love the ending to that episode as well, where Storm leaves the group, and Morph's like, she'll be crawling back. Goes open the door, and she's like, see, she's already back. Opens the door, it's Jane. They're just like, Jane? And then I look back, and they just see Jane. It's like, what? What's happening?
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I'm in readers of the comic, where people just know natural knowledge from the comic book, know it was going to do the Goblin Queen story, but still, seeing it on the screen and stuff was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Which
I just love Wolverine.
Wolverine's cool. Which ties into the third episode with Mr. Sinister and the Goblin Queen.
I would probably give it a 7 out of 10.
Again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because, it was a good introduction to Mr. Sinister.
Into the new series, yeah. Because we've gone into it before.
Yeah, obviously. But he's a lot better in X-Men 97.
He looks cooler. He feels more scary. I give this episode an 8 out of 10.
Yeah. The Goblin Queen, though, storyline, I'm just not a big fan of, cloning a superhero and then making them... that whole concept in general, I'm just not a big fan of. The Spider-Man run where Ben Reilly is, his clone, and it just ruins the story, I feel like. It just...
Not a fan of the clone stuff.
No, it didn't...
I'm similar, but with multiverse stuff. I hate multiversal stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's overused, and I hate how we use it to cover up stuff.
Yeah.
But I think this episode really gives off that evil feeling Mr. Sinister has.
Yeah.
I love how that scene where Madeline Pryor, or Jean Grey the clone, is in the room with the baby, and there's the crib, the bedroom and stuff, and Mr. Sinister is there talking to her through the baby cam or walkie-talkie or whatever. Was super cool.
Yeah,
and that whole
really,
feeling. Yeah,
that was really unsettling. And the way he manipulated reality,
I love the nightmare feeling the X Mansion was giving with
Yeah.
like different stuff like Jubilee and Roberto on the couch and the stuff coming through the TV. That was sick.
Yeah. In each one, like, it's their worst fear just, like, coming true.
Yeah, and that
Especially the...
builds up with Gambit too, with his
Gambit.
with the love triangle with Rogue, Magneto, and Gambit, with the him walking in and seeing his worst vision, which is having to see Rogue with somebody else.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Really sad.
I think what makes me a little bit lower on it is that we got a little bit more of an interaction with Morph. Morph was he was used by Mr. Sinister in the original show.
Yeah.
I wish we dug deeper with that instead of just Morph being like, I hate Mr. Sinister. This is a nightmare.
Yeah. More of, like...
Getting sidelined that whole
More of, like, flashbacks from the original show.
Maybe, yeah, and more like giving into depth. Because he has that scene when he's in like the locker room and whatever, and he's like scared. He's like, "Oh no, not you again!" And then we don't really build off of anything. Like,
Yeah. It's just, like, that's it.
yeah, I'm worried about that similar reasoning for X-Men 97 Season 2, since we now know Archangel is confirmed, and we're having a pull Apocalypse storyline. If he's underused when he's like the Horseman of Apocalypse in the past,
Yeah.
that'd be pretty
Wait,
sad.
Morph was... one of the
Not
Horsemen?
Morph, Archangel. I'm saying similar reasoning. How I don't want a character like that has a big impact with the villain to be underused.
Yeah.
I think the fight scene in the mansion with the, especially when Cyclops hits Bishop and he absorbs it and then fires at them,
yeah.
that was awesome.
That was really cool. Yeah, the more I think about it, it was a pretty good episode.
Yeah. I liked introducing Madeline Pryor and having two genes, which really confuses with Cyclops. I'm not as much on the hating clone side as you, if they do it right, because I think the whole idea of showing how it's impacting Cyclops specifically is cool, because instead of just, oh, here's a clone, fight scene's over, we got him out of the way, the clone leaves, that's the end.
Yeah.
I like how we still see how it impacts the characters.
I don't know, dude.
Episode 4. You're not a huge fan.
No.
I'm not as big a fan. I don't know if I hate it as much as you. Episode 4, the Mojo one. The Watch Mojo or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh.
The one with, half of it was in the game with Roberto and Jubilee. The other half was Life Death Part 1 with Storm, with Forge.
Yeah.
That was cool. I love Forge.
Forge is cool.
What would you rate this episode, though, on a scale of 1 to 10? I'm giving it like a 5, a perfect mid, which is the least I'm gonna give any episode in the season. I'm still giving the season overall 9.
I'd agree with that, because even though I didn't like Life and Death Part 1 and 2, it was still very accurate to the comics. So,
Yeah.
That was cool.
I don't really care for the Mojo stuff or the video game stuff,
It was kind of a funny
Filler. And I'm not a sucker for filler.
Yeah.
Thankfully, this season doesn't have much of that, which is why, for me, my overall ranking of a 9 out of 10, what brings it down at one point for me is this episode specifically. I don't really care for the video game stuff at all.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of fillers.
And Life and Death Part 1 and 2 doesn't really make sense with the owl, like, demon thing.
The owl demon thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do like that, like, story of Storm re-getting her powers, which more ties into the 6th episode, so we'll get, I guess, to that later.
Yeah.
But I love the fight scene with her.
They could have done that with, like, any mutant, really, and it
Yeah.
would still feel the same, though.
True. Now let's just get past this episode. Not much to talk about then. It's a filler, not that cool or interesting, whatever, push it aside.
Yeah.
Episode 5.
Oh.
My favorite episode of the season. I've rewatched it so many times, and every single time I've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Which is episode 5, remember it, the Battle of Genosha.
Yeah.
I love this episode. I'm giving it a 10 out of 10, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. 10 out of 10 for me, too, really.
It's perfect for the entire episode. There's nothing that I get bored on.
Nothing wrong.
From start to finish. When it starts with the news report on the X Mansion and these conversations, and Cyclops flips out and he's like, she asks, why are you being dishonest with me and stuff? Don't you want to show the world that you're people too and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like talking about that, thank goodness we're not like you, because if we were, then we would be dead a long time ago.
Yeah.
That was awesome. What a beautiful, like, writing one-liner or like section or like sentence he gave. It was awesome. The whole showing how it impacts Cyclops with him fighting with Jean, and then Jean making that decision with Wolverine, only for Wolverine, despite always wanting Jean to say, "This is not you. You're still with Cyclops." I like that for Wolverine. I like him being that like responsible, like he knows that's not who she is, so he's not gonna go ahead and further advance this like small little relationship or like small thing that just happened.
Yeah.
I think the scene where Madeline Pryor is in the dance at Genosha, and she has that like sinister like thing on her head pop, and she gets that vision of what's about to happen in Genosha, and she starts bleeding, and Jean at the mansion has the same vision, or like has that feeling too, is really cool. Really gives it horror, especially when the music starts playing after.
Yeah.
The whole breakup with Rogue and Gambit, as much as I'm a huge like, I love the relationship between Rogue and Gambit, I think that breakup was done greatly. I thought it was like very beautiful though. Like obviously, like the way it felt and set up, like it was emotional. It was like a beautiful moment kind of thing. Not like in a good way, like let's go, they're broken up. More of that like sadness feeling. Yeah, I think it's really interesting getting that flashback of Rogue and Magneto, and like this is explaining more on why she's able to touch him and stuff. Because for those who haven't read the comics or don't know all that, this is like the first time like finding that out.
Yeah.
Because we saw him and her touch in like episode 2 or something, maybe episode 2 or 3. So it's interesting for people to find out how she's able to do that based on Rogue's powers. I think the final battle in the episode is beautiful. The entire scene, I think Nightcrawler being introduced in the episode is also really cool.
Yeah.
But the entire scene at the ball where it just pops and the laser shoots off, and there's just that flashing light with the sounds of Rogue and everybody, and they're just like crashing and falling and all this death.
Yeah.
And then those like flashes of like the camera like shaking the way they did that, and there's like fire and people running and stuff. Oh, it's so good.
It's
really the whole good. Godzilla Sentinel, awesome. Yeah. The small Sentinels coming out of all that fighting, and a very sad death to my boy Bishop. What an OG X-Men, only to be blasted in the face while trying to save someone in Genosha. So sad.
And Gambit. Don't forget about
Gambit. Gambit, I believe, is coming back in X-Men 97 season 2. So
yeah,
still very sad scene. That was like enough to make a grown man cry. Stuff, bro. It's too much. I love that episode so much. It's so good. I don't have any problems with it. I think the scene where Magneto's talking about they shall be avenged and is fighting them, and then that scene where he looks at the kid when he's holding the shield bubble together.
Oh yeah, that was super sad.
And especially because we saw in episode 2, he promised him that he will never be afraid again, and all this stuff about mutants and how he's always wanted this place of his own, only for humans to take it away from mutants, and for him to have to look the kid in the eyes and say, "Do not be afraid," and then they die.
Mm-hmm.
So good. Obviously, Magneto doesn't die. It's still super sad, though. The entire fight scene is awesome. The stuff with Gambit and Rogue is awesome. I don't have any problem with the episode. And I love the way it ends, where the entire mutants that are still at the mansion are watching the TV.
Yeah.
And they say, the images you're about to see may be disturbing. And it shows like all the destruction, and it shows Rogue holding Gambit, and her last line when the episode ends is, "I can't feel you."
Yeah.
And it just cuts to black, and it's just complete silence. What a good ending. I love it so much. Is there anything you want to add on top of that? Because we both agree it's 10 out of 10. It's a great episode.
Yeah, it was really good.
I think we shall now talk about one of the episodes you don't really care for, episode 6, Life, Death, Part 2. It's the Storm getting her powers back, and also talking with Charles Xavier, showing everything with him. Because everyone thinks he's dead, but he was saved and stuff, and he was with the other planet. You never finished the animated show, so you don't really know that they picked him up and stuff?
Well, I remember in the Phoenix Saga, I think, when they introduced her, like, I knew who she was, and I just didn't know that they actually took him. But,
yeah, because you never finished the show. You should finish it, though. Episode 5 has some good episodes. I think the Mr. Sinister origin story episode towards the end of season 5 of the original show is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what would you give your rating of this episode of X-Men 97?
A 4.
A 4 out of 10? I'm going to give it like, I'm not going to say 5 because I don't think it's mid. I'm going to give it a little bit higher. Give it like a 6.5 probably. I don't think it's like, it's not very enjoyable, but the stuff with Charles and he's teaching them in the classroom and he has that like vision with his telepath that he sees what happened to Gambit, and he knows he dies, and he realizes he has to get back to his people, is pretty cool.
It is. I don't know. I
love the flight scene. I love the flight scene with Storm.
Yeah.
It's inspired off the Man of Steel one. Don't care for Man of Steel, you know that.
Yeah.
I don't like that movie, but that entire Storm flying scene, her getting her powers back, is super cool. Forge is cool. I love the ending of that episode where they turn on the TV and see what happens in Genosha.
Yeah.
And then everybody has to come back together for episode 7.
Charles Xavier kind of pisses me off sometimes. The way he just like
I don't really care.
left
In this show, X-Men 7, I didn't care for Charles at all.
No, he was really annoying.
He was just boring, and I just don't completely understand the like.
He didn't hold his values as much as he did like.
He used to in the original show, because like he just wanted to like. I get the idea of like having your life and stuff, but leaving everything you built left behind and just allowing
completely ignoring it.
and just allowing his team to just think he's dead.
Yeah,
I don't like that.
And letting his team die.
Yeah. He should have been there, and he does talk about that later in the other episodes. But at least he acknowledges that what he was doing was stupid.
Yeah.
But now going into, because we can both agree, mid-episode, you know what? Let's push it aside. Let's go talk about the next episode, Captain America cameo, episode 7 with Rogue grieving Gambit's death, Gambit funeral at the beginning, and the stuff in the city with Bolivar Trask. This is one of my favorite episodes of the season, and a lot of people obviously love episode 5 and like the final 2 episodes and finale stuff. I like this episode. I also love episode 8 a lot. But this episode I think is really good because of the ending. And I rate this episode like a 9 out of 10.
I give it a 7. It was really good for Rogue's
character
arc, but other than that, like, it was alright. Captain America was cool.
Captain America was cool. I like the whole twist with the human Sentinels when they're with Bolivar Trask in the city, and it looks good with the animation when it's raining and he's like twitching and stuff. He has the yellow eyes and the purple.
That was really cool.
And the way he's just beating the X-Men like it's nothing. He took out Rogue in like a single punch.
Yeah.
And like put her into like a coma for a little bit. I think it's really cool. And then Cable comes in with future tech and stops it, which is really cool. Because that's another thing I love about episode 5 of X-Men 97 is that scene when he's talking with Madeline Pryor. And he's like, no, I'm too late. And then he time travels. It's like, I'm sorry, Mom. And then Madeline Pryor's like, for what? And everything just explodes. That scene also gives me chills. But it's just great to see time travel being actually implemented into bringing Cable into this.
And it did really good doing that.
Yeah. Time travel is really good in this season, especially with the whole Bishop, and I love the thing with Cyclops and Madeline Pryor about having to let go of Nathan, who ends up being Cable, which most people don't know unless they read the comics, but yeah, that's really cool. Of having to let him go and stuff, and Cyclops not wanting to make the same mistakes his father did. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think this episode's really good. The whole fight scene at the end is really cool. The whole Genosha and Cyclops is just like, we need to give mutants a win and stuff after this tragedy. And then they find Emma Frost, and this is when she develops her diamond like powers and stuff, diamond skin. It's really cool.
Yeah.
The episode is interesting. I love with the stuff with Henry Gyrick and Rogue. The way Rogue grieves Gambit's death is pretty cool.
Yeah. It wasn't like, oh, let's just do this for Gambit or whatever. She was like actually mad. Like
she was mad.
If somebody was to die in my life, I wouldn't be like, oh, like just accept it. Like obviously, I would be like really mad.
Yeah, I love that scene with Rogue and Nightcrawler, especially because we don't get much of that as much in any adaptations, just a little bit in the anime series where we get to see, because they're siblings. They're not like biologically siblings, but both of their mother is Mystique.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Rogue's adoptive mother's Mystique, Nightcrawler's actual mother's Mystique, but they're like siblings to each other. I mean, the X-Men's always been like a huge family, but it's good to like see that bond, especially when Rogue like lets out her feelings, and it's not there's just her angry the whole episode. She finally like starts to like really cry and like feel horrible about what happens because she blames herself for what happens in Gambit.
Yeah.
It's really good. Yeah. Anyway, episode 8. That's the one where Cable, Cyclops, Jean all go to the Bastion's mother's house. We get to learn more about Bastion and his backstory. We get to see that Magneto's alive. We get the Human Sentinels attacking the X-Mansion. Awesome. I think the episode's also one of my favorites in the series. I'm also giving it like a 9 out of 10. That entire fight scene with them at the X-Mansion. The Wolverine and Nightcrawler in the fire fighting the Human Sentinels. So good. I think it's also great where they're outside and they're just facing up and all of these Human Sentinels are just flying in. What a cool shot. I'll make that my phone backdrop. Like, it's so good. The animation in that show and just the beautiful shots it does is really good. And I'm really excited about how they improve on that or like try and stay consistent with that in the new season. But I enjoy episode 8 a lot. I think the horror aspect and like thriller vibe this season gives with figuring out what the whole building up to this Genosha thing and its impact and what's to come with Bastion and his like new evolution of Sentinels is super cool. What do you rate episode 8 on a scale of 10?
An 8.
An 8?
Yeah.
Alright. Is there anything that brings it down or what makes it like really good to you?
No, I think it's just good.
It's good. I love the fight scene in the X-Mansion and the fire. That's really cool. I know you liked it with Wolverine and stuff because Wolverine's your favorite X-Men.
I love Wolverine.
Now getting into episode 9, the first part of the finale. Yellow team, blue team fighting Bastion and Mr. Sinister on the island, and the other team going to go stop Magneto after he broke down the shield of Earth and stuff, which was a crazy scene actually at the end of episode 8. I love everything in these last couple episodes of the show, 9 and 10. 9 I give a solid 8 out of 10. I think that we had some cool cameos and stuff, getting to see Hulk through Morph, getting to see Iron Man, Captain America, all of that. Super cool. Daredevil. Yeah. Awesome. I think what makes this episode really stand out to me is the absolute one-liners Magneto drops. When he, especially because Charles Xavier, he just came back to the team. Cyclops is mad. He thinks he should have been left to school, not Magneto.
Yeah.
And he's having this whole conversation with Charles. Magneto comes in when all the group is by the water, by the lake. He ends up making Roberto and Rogue come join them because they understand what happened. Genosha was a tragedy, and they start to believe Magneto's way is the way. But Magneto, when he says that he's tried Charles' way and he saw what happened in Genosha and he witnessed it, and then he talks about the boy that died with him, and how he talks about how he believed in him and stuff, that was great. I think Magneto has some absolute W writing during this season. It's so beautiful and poetic.
Yeah.
I love the fight scene and stuff. I think the Magneto at the end of the episode tearing the adamantium out of Wolverine is great, especially for comic book writers who knows that Savage Wolverine is now coming in, which we know is confirmed based on the Season 2 leaked images we've gotten. We've gotten to see some like concepts and some like art and stuff. We got to see what Wolverine will look like in the new season. He's ripped right out of the comic book panel. It's great. And I'm super excited for the next season.
I'd love to see like Wolverine just like primal Wolverine where he's just like running around naked in like a forest.
Is there a specific reason why you want to see that?
No. It would just be really, really cool.
Ah. Okay. Episode 10, the finale.
See, I don't like episode 10. Oh, like I do because of the Sentinels and stuff is really cool, but I don't like the design
of Bastion. That's right. I knew you didn't like his final form.
It's disgusting. I don't like it. It's just like, here, let's just add weird triangles
And
to the
tech
back
on him.
of him.
I think I'm not as much
Like, I
upset with
feel
it
like-
because he gives off that futuristic vibe and like human evolved sentinel and stuff, so I don't really care that much. He feels evil. It feels like a final form Bastion, which is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be cooler if they went more hybrid human sentinel form. Like, he's bigger, has more sentinel attributes and stuff like that. I feel like that'd be way cooler than just like giving him wings.
That's true. I think the fight scene's really cool. I think the whole Magneto and Charles talking in Magneto's head, and Magneto at first losing his memory, not knowing who it is, Charles having to bring it back to him, but also make sure he doesn't pretty much kill them or trap them in his mind forever. And then that scene where they wake up, and Magneto knows who he is, and he takes off the field of Earth and stuff. He fixes it and everything, but in the process, the island, or not the island, or whatever they're on, I forgot what it's called, and it just poofs. And they all time travel is so cool, and it gets me so excited for next season.
They set it up really good for season 2.
Yeah.
I didn't really care for the Magneto and Professor Xavier like going into their head and stuff. Like,
I like it because we didn't get much of that this season, and that's like a huge thing is Charles Xavier and Magneto's like bond as friends despite what they believe in is powerful stuff. Obviously, some characters are a little underused in the finale. I mean, like Wolverine, obviously, because he's like asleep and healing, which I don't have a problem with.
Yeah.
I rate it like a 9 out of 10 again. I think the ending when Bishop is back and him and Forge are assembling or trying to find this new team to create is super cool. I like getting to know that half the team is in Egypt around Apocalypse's like prime, like 20, 30s year old like Origins kind of vibe, and Cyclops and Jean in the future where Polaris approaches them and Nathan's there because that's where he was sent as a baby is super cool.
Yeah.
I think it's super cool. What do you
Still
rate
don't know
season
where
10?
Morph and Wolverine went though.
They're in the desert, I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100. We didn't get to really see them at the end of that finale, but based on set like pictures and like leaks we've seen, it looks like they're like kind of wearing similar stuff to what the other team is. So I'm kind of just assuming they're in Egypt in the like 80s, but
I really like Morph and how he just like rage baits Wolverine.
oh yeah,
like
it's always so funny throughout the show.
I love their like dynamic and how he's like the only one that can make Wolverine laugh.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of cool too.
I'm really excited about this next season. What are your like hopes and like don't want to happen? Like, what are some things you want to happen and some things you don't want to happen for X-Men 97 season 2?
I don't know really.
I'm hoping that the animation, the story and stuff stays consistent since they fired the original writer and director, but
Yeah, that could be troublesome.
yeah, that can make some problems. I do know that based on the timing in which where they're at in Egypt, there is a chance based on Apocalypse's origin, which I don't know much about. This isn't really in the X-Men comics, but could be adapted in the show. Is stuff with Kang the Conqueror, who has an impact in Apocalypse's origin story, which would be interesting. A hope I have is I don't want Apocalypse to be a one and done villain. I don't want them to beat him just in this. I want this to be like not just this season. Apocalypse is a villain that we should probably also see in the next season.
He's always there.
Yeah, because based on how this season is, we're gonna have to be like I don't know what's gonna happen in the future stuff, but like they're gonna have to be probably having some like fights and like battles and stuff with Apocalypse in the past. But when they come back to the future, because I think we're going to see Gambit as a Horseman of Death based on that extra credit scene in the X-Men 97 season 1. I don't think we're going to see that in season 2, though. I think based on how I see the story developing, they might come back to present time towards the end of the season, and we might see more of Gambit as a Horseman in modern-day Apocalypse in the next season where they finally like battle and stuff. I don't think the time travel is gonna be a couple of episodes, which is another hope or thing I don't want to happen. Is I don't want the time travel stuff to be just a couple episodes. I want us to spend some time on this. I don't want it to be rushed. I'm interested on what they're going to do with Savage Wolverine and what else is happening around this time.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you like really don't want to happen? Like things that you think will ruin the show? Especially because I think season 1's really good. Stuff that I could see ruining the show is animation not being consistent, writing not being consistent,
Yeah.
it being sloppy. I don't want certain characters to feel underused. I don't want certain things to feel rushed. I want us to spend our time.
Overuse of. I mean, I would like to see a little bit more of Sunspot or Roberto. Kind of, because
He was a bit.
they kind of
like,
show him, but they were kind of scared to put too much into his story because of
everything else that's going on.
Jubilee
And
too.
Jubilee, yeah.
And he probably would have ruined it, to be fair. But I think it would be kind of cool if, because where are Jubilee and Roberto right now?
They weren't on the island or whatever when it left. They're in modern time.
Okay, so that would be really cool to
Yeah,
see.
I
the
think we're going to be
effects.
seeing Havoc in Polaris too, because there was a board with Bishop and Forge talking about assembling a new team to help because the X-Men are gone. And some of the people on there, as we see like Polaris and Havoc and stuff as one of the pictures. Havoc is Cyclops' younger brother. So that's cool. He's sometimes a little bit with the X-Men, but he's mainly part of the X-Faction team, or X-Factor, I can't recall, with Polaris. Polaris is Magneto's daughter. Not Wanda or Quicksilver. She's the oldest, I think. She has like green hair. She has similar powers to Magneto. But she was the one who greeted Cyclops and Jean at the end in the future. She was like older and stuff, like really old. That was her.
Yeah, I think
So
it
she-
would be really cool just to see like the effects of like what happened when they time traveled, and to see like as the characters progress through time how that's going to change present day, and see how that'd be crazy.
That'd be cool. I'm assuming that Polaris is going to be heavily used in this next season because I feel like they could have had anybody. We could have had an old Wolverine if we wanted to be in the
Yeah.
future with them, but the fact that they chose Polaris and the fact that we have pictures and stuff of Polaris in this new season, it's making me feel like she's going to have like a heavy impact on this
Yeah.
season. I also know Psylocke and Archangel is going to be in there, which is cool because Angel's my favorite like niche X-Men. I love his story as Angel transforming into Archangel through Apocalypse, and similar with Morph with Mr. Sinister. I hope we actually like really heavily focus on it since Apocalypse is this main villain. Maybe seeing more of that like connection and how he feels now that he's Archangel in this time.
I'd like to see more of just more on Magneto's side, like of Quicksilver and
Yeah, they were on the
Wanda.
boat when they were in his mind and stuff.
Oh.
When Charles was in his mind, because there's like a quick scene where like because the bar was surrounded by water, and there's a boat out there. You just saw a quick scene and stuff. They were just on the boat. But I don't know if we're gonna get anything with Wanda and Quicksilver. We might when they're assembling this like new team, because I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure if I remember, I think their pictures were on the board. But I'm not 100% certain.
A quick cameo, I'd be just satisfied.
Yeah.
with that, just to like know that they're there.
I'm really excited for X-Men 97 Season 2. We got some cool pictures. Magneto looks awesome. He has this like full-grown beard and stuff. They all look really cool. I'm excited. Thank you guys so much for joining in on our pod episode this week, and we'll see you guys in the next one.